This is Brandi. Today I'm going to be talking about picking partners who love themselves. Hi, my name is Brandi Vezina. I'm a singer, songwriter, YouTuber, and writer. So today I'm going to be talking from my own personal experience about picking partners who love themselves. Okay, so it's pretty difficult to be able to give what one does not have. So I'm sure many of you can relate to times in your life when you did not have a super high self-esteem or self-worth, and you didn't realize what you were worth, and you got into relationships. Well, you can only give what you have. So if a person is plagued with insecurities, with doubts, with fears, it's going to bleed everywhere in their lives. And I know for myself, I have been in relationships where I have felt like that and where I've been with people who have behaved like that. So what we choose in a relationship is a reflection of what we think we deserve. So if a person does not love themselves, they're not going to pick relationships that are, going to be the best circumstances for themselves. R.H. Sin often writes about, people are cowards who cheat. If you've ever been in a relationship and you've been cheated on, or if you've cheated on somebody, most of the time it has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with avoiding feelings that a person doesn't want to feel. So if you've been cheated on in the past, the person who's cheated on you does not love themselves, because people who love themselves, think highly of themselves, would never make themselves feel super guilty and all those feelings that come along with when a person is cheating. Those of you who have cheated, I'm sure you can relate to know how awful it feels and how fearful you constantly are that the other person is going to find out, and how guilty you feel knowing that you've hurt somebody else. But that's all about how a person feels about themselves. So in order to pick people who truly do have a healthy relationship with their individual self, it takes time to be able to do that. Most of us in school, I've been a school teacher for many years. That's not something that we really teach. Whether it's in ceremony or churches or parents, that hasn't been something that has been like the fundamental building blocks of our childhood experience, or when we come of age and we start dating. Nobody hasn't been teaching these things. Yes, so as I was saying, it hasn't been fundamental that people have been learning how to love themselves and how to have healthy relationships. So that takes, sometimes for somebody like me, my brand new single that is coming out, John Dillinger Type, is all about not picking bad boys anymore. And one of my favorite thinkers, R.C. Blakes, often says, if most people had a really healthy relationship with both their parents, in particular a father, they wouldn't have a lot of the issues that we do see today. So if a person has not had a childhood that is reflective of having two parents who are able to communicate, who are non-stressed, non-depressed, that's something that they're going to have to pick up in their adult life. And I'm sure you know for yourself how difficult it is to change, and a person has to want to change. So my brand new single is all about no longer liking bad boys and no longer going for the quick thrill. I'm working on a single right now about being, hooked on love. Because for myself, I've been in and out of relationships for many years that typically are the same kind of prototype of men who are incapable of truly loving and supporting me because they don't love and support themselves. They might have a big, huge ego. We might, get along in certain ways. There might be some attraction and that sort of connection, but beyond that, they're incapable of meeting my needs because they're not even meeting their own. So if you really truly do want pick a healthy partner, then you need to look to see that that person is satisfied with their life choices, that they truly have a good connection to themselves, they have a connection to a higher power. They don't have a lot of self-hating thoughts, because that's going to bleed out. No matter if a person says, yeah, I love myself, it is going to show itself in many ways if you listen to the way a person talks, or they talk about themselves, or if they suffer from a lot of guilt from past choices that they've made. It will come out eventually. You just got to listen. And that's why it takes time to date somebody, to really get to know somebody. So picking a healthy partner who loves themselves is the hugest feat of all. How many people, stay in relationships and stay married nowadays? More than half of all marriages end up in divorce. Therefore, it really is worthwhile to ask these sorts of questions and trust those intuitive vibes if you notice something doesn't really quite feel right. But definitely just look at, the work a person is doing on themselves. If they think that they're perfect and they have nothing else to learn, that's kind of a huge red flag. But if a person is, able to admit that some things aren't so, they want to work on certain areas, they're working on certain areas, they have a healthier relationship with themselves than they did before. But if you notice your partner is, intimidated by you, or, they don't necessarily support the things that you're doing, well, that means that they're incapable of doing that. And expecting them to change is foolery, and it's foolishness on your part. I know for myself, I've done that in the past. My song Walk Away, I talk about, trying to change somebody, but that doesn't work. And that is like a recipe for disaster. So yes, definitely pay attention to how a person talks about themselves, how they treat themselves. If they think they deserve, the best quality of certain things and they treat you just the same, you're going to have they will have a lot more to give. My counselor says that nowadays, the type of dating that I'm doing, I'm dating people who have more to offer me because they're giving it to themselves first and foremost. So don't make excuses for bad behavior. Tune in and realize that it takes a lot of work for a person to change, especially when you're focusing on how much it takes for you to change yourself, let alone somebody else wanting to do that work. So definitely pick partners who have more to give you, more to offer you, and actually have the ability to love because they've learned to love themselves, and they can model that, especially if you want to have children with them. So thank you very much for watching. Definitely get ready to add my brand new single, John Dillinger Type, on Apple and save it on Spotify. And I thank you so much for watching. Miigwech. Bye.